Hello, my name is Gautam. I joined the Be the Match Registry back in 2009. There was a drive that was organized by Samar, and Rafiaji was also there. It was at my company in New York. About 7 years later, I got a call from someone at Be the Match saying that I came up as a match and they were asking me if I wanted to donate. I didn't hesitate. I went ahead with the donation. The procedure, the process, basically I had to give stem cells, and the process was very straightforward. It was just like it was mentioned in the literature. Everybody at Be the Match, at the hospital, at Samar, everyone was really, really helpful. They had arranged transportation to and fro from the donation site, and everything went smooth. I actually went back to work the next day. So a few weeks later, I got another call asking if I wanted to donate T cells for the same patient. Again, the procedure was similar. Went in, donated, and yeah, I mean, the experience was, was pretty straightforward. I would say it was easier than I expected it to be. So if anyone's looking to make a donation, or if anyone has any questions, just feel free to reach out to me or Rafiaji at Samar or anyone else in the Samar organization, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. Please consider donating. It can save a life. Thank you and good luck.
به نام خدا، من دانیال عسکری، 32 سال سن، فارغ التحصیل رشته عمران و ساکن شهر مشهد هستم. من سال 90 تجربه اهدای خون به صورت مستمر و فعال داشتم. خدا را شکر تا الان تعداد 25 دفعه اقدام کردم. سال 93 بود که برای بحث اهدای خون مراجعه کردم. اونجا دوستانی بودن که منو با سلول‌های بنیادی اهدای پلاکت و پلاسما آشنا کردم. خب همونطور که می‌دونید سلول‌های بنیادی مادر تمام سلول هاست و قابل تبدیل شدن به کلیه سلول‌های بدن رو داره و به نوعی باعث ترمیم بافته آسیب دیده میشه. من از تمام هموطنان و هم نوعان، خصوصا جوانان، میخوام که با مراجعه به مراکز اهدای خون نسبت به اهدای پلاکت، پلاسما و خون خودشون اقدام کنن. یه جمله معروفی هم هستش که میگه بهترین نذر و انفاق کمک به هم نوعان خودمونه. موفق باشید.
امشب شبشه دیگه، عذر میخوام. آمدم بگم که گدا نمیخی یا که اصلا غلامسی. یک بارم با زبون ما تو بگو نوکرم راستی کربلا نمیخی. دورم از کربلا، بابام میگه که نکنه از امام رضا نمیخی. ما مریض خودتم، نسخه بنویس بگو شفا نمیخی. خوننده کار دیگه از ما بر نمیه، روز خونه بی دست و پا نمیخی. میخی از بوی سیب برد بخونم، میخی از بوی سیب برد بخونم. نکنه ما رو انتخاب نکنی یا بخی نوکرت حساب نکنی. به همه پوز دادم که همسدتم، خودمان ما رو خراب نکنیم.
تشویق کنید عزیزان در گروه فرهنگی هنری فرخه.
I first became a registered donor in October of 1995 at an Indian fair where I was with my friends, and we all decided to become part of the registry, thinking nothing really was going to come out of it. My cousin, who was a doctor, who really basically put it in one line for me, he said, if you can save somebody's life, why won't you do it? And eventually it came down to it that if I needed a bone marrow transplant, and if I needed one, and if I found a match, what would I want them to do? And the answer was I would want them to save my life, and it came down to that.
یه به همه مردم، بوت و کوچیک، زن و مرد، اینه که با هم مهربون باشید، چون حال خش شما همون حال خش مانه و زمانی هم این اتفاق میفته که هممون توی جامعه، تو کیچه، تو محل، تو خیابون، هممون حواسمون به هم دیگه باشه و به هم مهربونی کنیم. ما یه اهدا کننده سلول‌های بنیادی و خونساز هستم و هیچ مهربونی را بالاتر از اهدای زندگی به هم‌نوامون نمی‌بینم. ما اهدا کنندگان در سرتاسر جهان یه خانواده ایم و روز جهانی اهدا کنندگان سلول‌های بنیادی و خونساز را به اهالی و خانواده از بوشهر مثل دریا با دلی بزرگ و وسیع تبریک می‌گم.
از مردم عزیز شهر بوشهر دعوت میکنم جهت اهدای سلول‌های بنیادی به انتقال خون بوشهر تشریف بیارید.
Hello, my name is Arjan Vir and I'm a stem cell transplant physician at Princess Margaret Hospital in Toronto. Stem cell transplants save lives, but we cannot perform stem cell transplants without having healthy people come forward and signing up to be part of stem cell donor registries, like the one maintained by Canadian Blood Services. Any healthy individual aged 17 to 35 years can sign up to donate stem cells and potentially be called upon to help us and physicians like myself save the life of a patient suffering from diseases like leukemia or aplastic anemia for which there is no other cure. Many patients, unfortunately, are unable to find suitable donors because the stem cell registries don't adequately cover patients of less represented or underrepresented minorities. As a result, we're always looking for more people to come forward and join up in these registries and donate stem cells with the assurance that as long as you're in good health, there will be no discrimination in terms of gender, race, sexual orientation, or ethnicity. As long as you're healthy, you might be the 1 in a million perfect match our patients are looking for. Our priority always remains to ensure the safety of the patient at all costs, and all our donors undergo careful and in-depth screening to make sure they don't have any conditions that might impair the efficacy of the transplant or expose the person receiving their stem cells at a higher degree of risk. We do need to make sure that these stem cells are as safe as possible and that the process of stem cell donation is completely safe for the person donating the stem cells as well as the person receiving the stem cells. Make no mistake, these cells are a gift, a life-saving gift in every sense of the word. Stepping up to donate stem cells to someone you don't even know is probably one of the most noble or altruistic acts a person can perform. Everything we do to help our patients pivots upon the availability of donors such as yourselves to give a little part of an infinitely renewable resource and potentially save another person's life. Race, background, nationality, sexual orientation, gender identity, these things do not matter to us. Stem cells look the same, no matter where they come from. If you're eligible, know that you will be treated with the respect and honor we extend to all our patients, and that we will do everything in our power to keep our donors safe, and we will do everything possible to make sure our patients get the best possible care. Sign up today. You're more special than you think. Thank you.
I just didn't hesitate about it. I was just like, okay, this is perfect. Like, I'll do it. It was an easy choice. So I'm very excited to meet my son's donor. 2016, October 24th was Quincy's day that he was notified he was cured from sickle cell. So 2020, 4 years later, we get to meet the donor that made it happen.
It felt good knowing that I had a donor. It's like we knew possibility, getting cured, don't have to deal with pain crises, don't have to take medicine daily.
Take the leap that one choice can save someone's life, and it's very rewarding. It's not painful, you know, and the end result is someone else gets to experience life differently and without pain. It was super easy. I was like, yes, I'll do it, 100%. I'd do it again.
Mi nombre es Reinalda Cervantes, vivo aquí en Oakland. Yo soy de un pueblo de Michoacán. Yo empecé a sentirme muy cansada y ya después me empezó a dar temperatura, escalofrío y ahí empezó todo ya, mi sufrimiento. Me dijeron que tenía cáncer, que tenía leucemia. Tengo 8 hermanos y ninguno salió compatible para mí. Pues yo dije, tal vez no voy a encontrar donante. Pues me sentí muy feliz. Le di gracias a Dios porque me dijeron eso, que ya habían encontrado un donante para mí. Yo pensé, tal vez sí voy a vivir. Gracias a Ramón, gracias a él le debo la vida.
Mi nombre es Ramón Alberto Peña Ríos. Yo me enteré de Vidematch gracias a un evento que hicieron en la empresa donde yo trabajaba. Antes de saber de Vidematch, yo no sabía nada del contexto ni de cosas de donación de células madre. Es muy sencillo, nada más es una muestra, no sé qué. Dije, oye, pues está padre, yo quiero ser parte de eso. El momento clave fue que yo dije, yo quiero ser un donador en algún momento. Me siento orgulloso de que haber hecho una pequeña acción, un pequeño acto desinteresado ayudó a alguien. Pensar en que esa persona hoy en día puede levantarse, puede seguir viviendo, me hace estar feliz.
Sin palabras, estoy emocionado, ¿no? Digo, ya te quería conocer, pero no sabía que esto iba a ser el momento de conocerte. Llego ahorita a mi casa, hay una pequeña reunión, toda mi familia, y todavía me encuentro la sorpresa de que te iba a conocer. Híjole, no tengo palabras.
Y me dio mucho gusto conocerte y que toda tu familia, mil bendiciones para ella. Y para ti.
Darte las gracias con todo mi corazón porque me regresaste a mi mamá.
Le doy gracias a Dios y a ustedes que me le devolvieron la vida a mi hija.
Que un poquito de mi hijo le haya servido a usted.
Es una pulsera y cada que la toques vas a sentir como un abrazo de parte de él.
Te quiero, vive la vida, disfrútala. Échale muchas ganas.
Agradecerle todo lo que hizo por mí, por regalarme la vida. Que Dios lo bendiga a él y a toda su familia.
La verdad, yo tengo ganas de abrazarlo. Que gracias a él tenemos a mi mamá.
Reinalda, Reinalda, ra, ra, ra.
As part of our vision toward equal outcomes for all patients, the National Marrow Donor Program, Be the Match, conducted clinical trial 15-MMUD. Results showed mismatched unrelated donors, or MMUDs, can dramatically increase transplant options for ethnically diverse patients. Our 15-MMUD study provides compelling evidence that when used with post-transplant cyclophosphamide, MMUDs are a strong option for patients who don't have an HLA match. In fact, results showed outcomes similar to transplants using mismatched relatives, also called haplo, with the potential to influence even more lives. NMDP is launching the ACCESS trial as a follow-up to 15-MMUD, which focused on bone marrow. ACCESS will assess the efficacy of a PBSC transplant from a MMUD in combination with post-transplant cyclophosphamide. Ultimately, MMUD therapies could lead to an increase in donor options, fewer barriers to transplant, and better outcomes for patients.
So my role at Be the Match is as a patient navigator. I work alongside a team of other navigators, and we provide guidance and support to patients and caregivers who are going through the treatment process. So we help identify barriers, we help provide access to resources, and answer questions that they might have. What I love most is those calls where at the beginning a patient is super stressed out, super overwhelmed, and they at the end of the call feel like a weight has been lifted off their shoulders. We know that sickle cell disease warriors face financial barriers when it comes to accessing treatment, so that could be with transportation, could be with housing, co-pays, other bills that come up. Sickle cell disease warriors experience isolation, a lack of support, maybe communication issues with healthcare providers. So these resources exist to be able to support sickle cell disease patients and caregivers throughout their journey. Patients like Spencer can come to us for support with counseling, to connect with someone else who's gone through transplants, and for financial assistance to help with those costs associated with treatment.
Transplant day, it was mixed emotions. So I was very tired, very weak, but I was elated to see that bone marrow come in my room. The first thing I noticed were my eyes were white, and I'd never seen my eyes white ever. It was a little overwhelming, but I just took it a day at a time.
In order to learn more about the free resources we offer sickle cell disease warriors and their caregivers, you can reach out to us by web, by email, and by phone. There is no cost. Our resources are available for free for sickle cell disease warriors and caregivers. Patients with sickle cell disease who've had transplant are no longer dictated by the disease. They're able to do the things that they want to do. They don't have these anxieties of when that next crisis is going to hit.
But I'm able to live life without having to worry about a pain crisis. I'm able to spend time with my son. I'm able to take him to tennis lessons and swim practice and just hang out with him without having, a crisis interrupt that time. But just keep fighting and just know that there are people out there like me who are in your corner rooting for you. First and foremost, I am super grateful for Be The Match. Just the team that they have and what they embody, and all of the donors who take their time to give blood, to not even know who they're helping or how much of an impact they're making in someone's life. And what they're doing for a patient and that patient's family is absolutely incredible.
All these resources help patients like Spencer to overcome barriers to get to and through transplant, ultimately improving their quality of life.
I think it's important for Persians to register as stem cell donors because there is an underrepresentation of Persians in the stem cell registry.
I think it's important for all Iranians to register because they could save a life and disrupt this disparity.
I think it's important for people of all ethnic backgrounds to register, but especially Iranians, because we're a large global community, and when we come together, we are stronger and united.
I think it's important for every healthy person to register as a stem cell donor, especially the ethnically diverse communities such as Kurdish and Iranians. So if you can save a life, why don't you?
I think it's important for Iranians to register to become stem cell donors because as a minority group, we all need to stick together. And it might be a little bit of discomfort or inconvenience for some of us. It can add years of life to a patient's life.
And that is why Iranian donors save lives.
It's good to know that when you love and when you share and when you give, then it's more and more and more rewarding. Be a donor, be a stem cell donor, and it's going to be really fantastic. Not just for you, but the fact that you can do this and you can think about it is really amazing. You're saving a life, and with stem cells, you're saving many lives actually, and I think it's about time that we all started looking at it differently. And so for this, I say thank you to the Arjan Vir Foundation.
So first off, thanks to the WMDA and to CareDx for this opportunity today. What I'd like to do, next slide, please. What I'd like to do today is give you a brief history of our little nonprofit, the concept behind our Extended Family Donor Search initiative, and how we've taken it from an original idea to a practical application, the results of our efforts thus far, which have been over about a 4 to 5 month period, and then what's next on our radar, what we hope to accomplish with your assistance. So how it all got started. Like many people, I joined the Marrow Registry for a family friend in need when she was diagnosed with leukemia. And like most people, I wasn't found to be a match for her, but was rather called a year later as a perfect match for a 16-year-old girl battling leukemia. For this individual, the decision to proceed was simple. With pre-teenage kids of my own, to help a 16-year-old was the easiest decision I've ever made. Just prior to the harvest, I said a short prayer. I bartered a short prayer. Save this young girl's life and I'll be an advocate to the cause for the rest of mine. The procedure went well. As soon as I returned home, next slide, please. I wrote this young lady a letter with respect for the anonymity clause of 1 year. I started the letter with my wife is my soulmate, my younger sibling, my blood brother, and without knowing your name, we're now forever connected as Marrow mates. I was pleasantly surprised within about a week to receive correspondence back from this young lady and from her parents using that same salutation, Dear Marrow mate. During the course of that first year, we exchanged 26 letters back and forth. I tell people now that the procedure may have saved her life, but those letters profoundly changed mine forever. On the 1 year anniversary, her parents called me. We exchanged contact information and details, and her father shared with me at that point, not only is today our daughter's rebirth day, which was the first time I had heard that term, but he said her actual birthday is this weekend. We'd like you to be part of a surprise visit. Would you and your wife be interested in coming up and surprising our daughter? So with this short 1.5-minute video, I asked for your permission to share in that experience that we had in surprising my recipient, Kim.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty cool. So, you got your camera working?
Yeah, I got the lighting, I believe, correctly.
Yeah.
Although, like, if we put like a big, huge bulb or something, yeah.
Well, why don't we go ahead and see if we can call Jeff while you're recording.
Okay, all right. Well, I thought a couple of friends were coming.
Well, they're not. We can wait.
Oh, okay.
We're fine.
Okay. All right.
All right?
Yep.
All right.
If I go down there? Oh, hold on. 3, 1, 4, 6,
2, 1.
2, 1,
Why not? Think of it.
Go.
Okay, here we go. Run speaker.
I'll put it on speaker. Okay. You can't really hear it ringing.
Oh, but it's louder when it talks.
I can hear it. I think it might.
Put it
I
down.
can hear it ringing.
Put it down. Let's see if it calls. All right. Well, that's odd. Somebody else's phone. Hello.
Oh crap!
Look at that. Who's calling me?
Yeah. And without question, it still goes down as one of the top 10 coolest moments of my life. In the decade since my donation to Kim, we together have participated in walk runs, charity events. We've lobbied Congress. This has become a family affair. My wife was called as a potential donor 2 years ago, and last year our son, who was biologically adopted from Romania, was also called. Both my son and my daughter skipped their day of class on their 18th birthdays just to go independently register for the Marrow Registry. So again, it's something that our entire family takes seriously. I'm also proud to be a member of the CIBMTR's Consumer Advocacy Committee for Donor Health and Safety, and I've been a Be the Match NMDP volunteer courier for the past 7 years, transporting cells from donors to recipients. Kim has since graduated from college. She took a Fulbright scholarship and was teaching English as a second language in the Czech Republic. And the final center photo is us taken this past year celebrating together on the beach, her 10-year anniversary post-transplant. Again, without question, it's changed my life. And as long as she's healthy, I will continue to hold up my end of that bartered prayer as an advocate to the cause. Next slide, please. So Marrow was formally established as a nonprofit in 2018. Initially, we were set up, through the course of my years of volunteering, I'd met a lot of long-term survivors, a lot of caregivers, and what we set up initially at a transplant center in the Midwest, Siteman Cancer Center in St. Louis, was a mentorship program that took long-term survivors and veteran caregivers and paired them up with individuals that were going through the transplant process, from day of diagnosis to day of transplant to post-transplant to discharge to trying to find that normalcy in their new way of life. On the front end, I've personally always been a fervent advocate for donor aspects. And that's where this side of MarrowMates has kind of taken us. Next slide, please. So the concept for this initiative all got started on a very personal note. My wife was adopted at birth, and a couple of years ago, she was able to obtain her birth certificate. On it, it had her biological mother's name, but there was no biological father listed. So my wife turned to DNA for assistance. She had already been registered on Ancestry.com, but that only gave her one slice of the pie that was needed to triangulate or figure out who her biological father might be. So she registered on 23andMe, MyHeritage, and my family DNA. And by doing so, she was able to take those individuals, perhaps a second cousin on 23andMe and a third cousin on Ancestry, and if those individuals shared a same great-grandparent to the third or fourth power, she could deduce that somewhere down that lineage might be her biological father. Next slide, please. So with her concept in mind, she asked me the question, why can't we do this for a searching patient? The first thing we did was went and studied review sources through CIBMTR. We were able to find periodicals and reports as far back as '96 on the probability of finding a suitable donor in extended families. The paper that stuck out to us most was the Jordanian experience that focused on individuals within the country of Jordan where related marriages were prevalent. We had all the resources that we needed in ancestry sites, genetic genealogy sites, and we had determined that the region of studies were those in the Eastern Mediterranean, Middle East, Southeast Asian, and Sub-Saharan African countries. The common denominator to the entire thing was consanguinity. Next slide, please. So consanguinity was that prevalent resource. We have been working with an individual in Florida, Farouk Mukhtar, 65-year-old male, diagnosed in 2018 with myelofibrosis. He also fit the criteria, having been born in the Eastern Mediterranean area of Turkey. He had no siblings and no matches in the international database. As we were doing recruitment for him at college campuses, predominantly in the Florida area where he resides, his wife had asked me after about a half dozen recruitment events, you keep telling us that we need to find someone who looks like and has the same genetic ancestry as my husband, but we keep recruiting predominantly Caucasian students at these colleges. How can we modify this? So armed with that question and her search for her husband, we knew that we had found a pretty good patient to roll out a case study on. Next slide, please. So extended family donor search, this term that the industry had used in its papers, was research that encouraged outreach to your known relatives. If you're diagnosed with a blood cancer or need a transplant, the encouragement was to go to all of those known relatives. Our goal was to connect searching patients with their unknown genetic relatives. Our methods and materials, we took Farouk and registered with his permission him on 23andMe, Ancestry, and MyHeritage DNA. And while he was an only child and only had one known first cousin, our results identified with the results from these three genealogy sites, 14,000 genetic cousins from the second to the fifth power. On our initial outreach, we messaged 100 of his genetic relatives and received a very pleasantly surprised 17% response rate. So we took a deeper dive to the genealogy sites to make sure that we were complying with their regulatory issues. We took written consent from Farouk to extend these search efforts on his behalf. We then recruited a couple of industry professionals who were familiar with the donor recruitment side, and then we started the outreach to Farouk's extended family. In most instances, it was a soft introduction. Hi, cousin, my name is Farouk, nice to meet you here. Our hope was to engage in conversations, which we've been fairly successful at. We find common interests, and then we're introducing Farouk's need for a donor. So this is an example. This is using a fifth cousin on a 23andMe site. And most of these are chat conversations back and forth. This one started in mid-April of this year. And just a couple of pop-ups for this conversation. Hello, cousin. How are you? We're in difficult times. Hope this message finds you well. I live in Florida with my lovely wife. Like many people, I joined 23andMe to expand my knowledge of where I came from and meet genetic cousins. I joined on a very personal mission as I'm actively searching for a potential stem cell donor against a fight of blood cancer. The response we got from this cousin, who we'll call here Bob, hi Ferris. He hasn't even taken the time to properly address and see the name of his cousin. We don't share much DNA. You're a distant cousin to my fourth and fifth. As a rule, I don't research anything beyond third cousin. I wish you luck, but I don't think I can help with your search. So we let a little bit of time go by in our conversation with cousin Bob. And then in the middle of May, we reached back out. Hi, Bob, just wanted to reconnect one more time. You could help me a lot by sharing the story and my video on social media. This was a video that we put together that helped personalize Farouk's story to his genetic relatives.
Hello, cousin. It's so nice to meet you. My interest in getting to know you as a distant relative is very personal. The diagnosis changed my life. Without any brothers or sisters as potential donors, I am relying on the generosity of someone with similar genetics. Because we are genetically related, you might be my perfect match. But if not, you could be a match for another searching patient who also looks like us. Minorities and people with blended ethnicity are woefully underrepresented in the registry. It all starts by requesting and submitting a simple swab. Please go to marrowmates.org to find your country's international Marrow registry and join today. The entire world is hurting right now, but I believe in tomorrow. I have to.
Next slide, please. So the response we got back from cousin Bob was very reminiscent of what we've received back from other cousins that have watched this same video. Bob's response back to us, "Hi, Faru," he's got our name right now. "I was initially skeptical and too busy to help to give you the consideration that you deserve. I've since reread your messages and watched your videos, and I want to help." Bob goes on to tell us that he had recently visited Turkey and now is saying, "I never imagined that I had family there also." Bob's made this personal connection now to Faru. "I never expected I'd be trying to find you a donor. Let's get started. Thinking of you, my cousin Bob." So in our response back to Bob, we, acting with Faru's permission, have said, "Thanks, Bob, for reaching out again. The organization that's helping me is Marrow Mates. Would it be okay if I shared your contact info with them and reaching out to our other extended family?" What we've done in this instance is we've personalized this and engaged Bob. Bob, as it turns out, was 69 years old, or is 69 years old, and when he went to our site, found that although he was too old to register, that he got from his research efforts of these genealogy sites, he understood and started asking questions about what is your HLA type? Where is your other family from? While Faru may identify nationally as being born in Turkey, what we found and the connections that we're making in these sites is that he also has Cypriot. He is also Italian. He's also Greek. And as other cousins have made, just in this example, as we've done with Bob, they're making these connections in that how they might identify nationally has no bearing on how they truly are identified from a genetic code standpoint. Next slide, please. So by funneling extended family donor search traffic through our website, we're capturing extended family members and their inquiries about joining a registry. Specific to Faru's network of cousins, we've had 280 unique visits from the 54 registries that we've pulled from the WMDA. So where we're at today. This shows the number of people that we've reached out to on these genealogy sites. For 23andMe and MyHeritage, which focus more on that genetic genealogy, we've exhausted almost all of those contacts that are Faru's relatives. For Ancestry, with over 12,000 people, we've just scratched the surface. The far right-hand column is our total registrations. These are the number of confirmed cousins that have written back to us through Faru saying, "I just joined a registry on your behalf." So while that number is still a little lower than we would like, it's the total engagement number that we're focused on. At an average of 24%, We know that these are ongoing dialogue conversations, just like we have with Cousin Bob, and we know that we've got a greater likelihood of turning those into actual registrations as we go forward. Some of these conversations are taking place over the course of 3 months, and most of these conversations, these engagements are ongoing as we speak. So what we've learned is that people that are already on genealogy sites are very responsive to our inquiries. They're naturally altruistic. They've already agreed to submit their DNA for their own purposes of inquiry, and they feel an almost immediate connection to wanting to help someone that they now not find that they are, even on a distant basis, genetically or biologically related to. Our approach is providing, under given current circumstances, a unique alternative to traditional recruitment. We know that this is a safe and effective means of outreach during COVID-19. Our efforts are concentrated to specific demographics. Eastern Mediterranean, Middle Eastern searching patients are, again, as Farouk shared in his video, woefully underrepresented, so we're trying to grow those efforts. And then finally, the exposure and education that we're reaching out to through these connections are to people that may otherwise never know that Marrow Registry exists or the importance of them. Next slide, please. So on the left, we have a conventional recruitment effort, and Marrow Mates likes to think of itself as registry agnostic. We will work with any registry that wants to help us as we pinpoint this, first for a specific searching patient, but really in a broader sense. And a conventional recruitment effort that may take place at a health fair or on a college campus, if on a good day, any donor recruiter has 200 people that pass by a registration booth, and 40 of them stop and 25 of them actually register, the demographics of the people that are actually registering, again, are predominantly Caucasian, and then we have a peppering of different blended ethnicities and genetic ancestry that join. What we're doing, and we believe, is precision recruitment for a specific patient to their specific genetic ancestors or relatives. Next slide, please. So what's next? With the focus on Eastern Mediterranean and Middle Eastern regions, we're actively looking for additional searching patients to help. At this point, this second phase of our program and initiative, we would like to stay with focus predominantly to help Farouk. We've almost exhausted his cousin base in 2 of the 3 registries, and we know that if we find other searching patients that have the same genetic markers as he might, that we're helping those additional patients, but as a byproduct, we're also helping Farouk. The 11 countries that are listed here are our next focus of interest. Special thanks to the WMDD for allowing us this opportunity, and for CareDx, as they are precision medicine. We like to think that this is a very good fit in our efforts of precision recruitment. And with that, I'd be happy to